Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on Sunday, the 20th of September. Hi, I'm Paul and I'll be your host this morning. And boy, oh boy, do we have upsets and surprise results for you today. Over in the Tour de France, we have a surprise winner and the youngest winner in the 110-year history will get crowned today. On top of that, we have the Ranfurly Shield moving up north. We have a team in the Farah Palmer Cup registering their first ever win. Over in the NRL, the Titans, the Storm, the Roosters all got up over their opponents. We've got news from the NBA finals and also updates from the curling mixed nationals and the US Open. So let's kick off with that rugby news. And yes, Taranaki have got have won their Ranfurly Shield Challenge against Canterbury. Unfortunately, this is the one game that I didn't get to see yesterday, but a 22-23 win sealed off with a late long-range penalty by Geordie Barrett to win that game. Big upset there, folks. And it'll be interesting to see how Taranaki can defend their shield when their All Blacks disappeared. Because yes, the All Blacks were available for the first two rounds and won't be from now on. So the first team that gets a crack at the gets the first challenge for the Ranfurly Shield will be Otago next weekend. Otago are in action today. They will face Manawatu. The other games today is Auckland versus Wellington, where myself and Stephen Harris will be at that game. So do follow the New Zealand Sports Radio Facebook page for post-match interviews and updates from that game. In other games yesterday in the Mitre 10 Cup, Waikato put in a impressive win over North Harbour, 41-19, and the other game, Bay of Plenty, fought out a very cagey and tough game against Southland. Both sides leaving opportunities out there to win that one, 17-14. So yes, only a 3-point win over that. I will be putting up my post. I was at the Waikato game and the Bay of Plenty game, so I'll be putting up my post-match interviews with Sam Kane and the who else did I get? I got Sam Kane. I also got some. I've gone blank. The American captain for Southland and Shane Lambourne, as well as the Southland head coach as well. So do check out those later. Over in the Farah Palmer Cup and Taranaki again. Boy, there would have been lots and lots of partying in New Plymouth. Well, by the time if they got back in time, it would have been because Taranaki picked up their first ever win in the Farah Palmer Cup. They've been around for 2 years now, or 3 years, 2 years now, or 3 years now, I think, winning 32-29 over North Harbour. Tough weekend for North Harbour there. So that would have been the cup final for both of those sides in what is a very, very strong Northern Conference. But yeah, congratulations to Taranaki there. Other games in the Farah Palmer Cup down. The other game in the North Division saw Bay of Plenty lose to Waikato 10-21 there. And you got to say, Bay of Plenty had 13 debutants in the opening two games this year. So you can understand why they might be struggling to gel a little bit with Waikato getting that win. Down in the Southern Conference, and Wellington picks up another victory, beating Hawke's Bay 67-17, and Canterbury beat Otago Spirits 85-10. So two comfortable victories down there in the Southern Conference. I'm going to hand you over now to Stephen, who's going to take us through our birthdays this morning.
Good morning, Paul, and good morning to everybody tuning into New Zealand Sports Radio. I hope you're enjoying what is a very nice weekend, beautiful sunny day here in Auckland, and a good day to celebrate a birthday for a legend of Canterbury and Crusaders rugby, a former New Zealand cricketer who made the 2016 New Year's honours list, and finally a current New Zealand warrior with a powerlifting background, and that's where we start. Our birthdays this morning: Asaya Papali, born this day, the 20th of September 1998 in Auckland, is a professional rugby league footballer who plays as a prop for the New Zealand Warriors in the NRL and has played for Samoa and also for New Zealand at an international level. Now, Papali won 2 gold medals at the Oceania Powerlifting Championships in New Caledonia when he was younger. His parents owned a gym in Avondale, and Papali attended Mount Albert Grammar and played for their first 15 rugby union side. At the same time, he was playing junior rugby league for the Junior Warriors. The first 15 won the championship in 2016, and Papali won the team's player of the year. So there you go. Interesting background for Papali. Wonder if he'll ever come back to rugby. Moving right along, Stephen Bock, ONZM, born this day, the 20th of September 1951, is a former New Zealand cricketer who played 30 tests and 14 one-day internationals. Now, he was a slow left-arm orthodox bowler. I'd have to find out from the guys on Swing from the Hip what orthodox bowler is. Now, he's one of only 6 New Zealanders to have taken over 600 first-class wickets. After a test against Pakistan at Wellington in 1985, he had achieved a career high of 9th place in the PricewaterhouseCoopers rankings for Test cricket. In the 2016 New Year's Honours, Bock was appointed an Officer of the Order of Merit for services not only to his cricket, but also stuff that he's doing in the community as well. And finally, another legend here, Todd Blackadder, born this day, the 20th of September 1971 in Rangiora, is a retired New Zealand rugby union player and professional rugby coach. He captained the national team, the All Blacks, 14 times, playing a total of 25 games and 12 tests. Blackadder captained the Crusaders to 3 Super Rugby titles during his time with the franchise, while winning 2 NPC titles with Canterbury. Blackadder began his career as a blindside flanker, but was transformed into a lock in 1998. A couple of titles with Canterbury. Of course, he'd enjoy his birthday today, but he may not enjoy that result from yesterday. Wouldn't exactly say it was a huge upset, Paul, but it was an upset. Taranaki played very, very well, especially in the first half, scooting out to a 20-3 lead, but Canterbury showed what a champion side they are by getting themselves back into the game, try before half-time, and then really dominating most of the second half. And it was just really a long-range penalty from Geordie Barrett from 50 metres, which sealed the win. But you could arguably say a relatively easy conversion missed by Richie Mo'unga was the difference. But at the end of the day, a deserved win to Taranaki, and an amazing performance from Lachlan Boshier, who got so many turnovers, I absolutely lost count. And if he's not drafted back into the All Black squad, well, I'll go here. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Stephen. Yes, and yeah, the extended squad that we're travelling over to Australia. Talking about slow left arm orthodox, it basically means it's a left arm off spinner rather than a left arm leg spinner, which. So yes, there you go. Hugh confirming my thoughts there in the live chat. So thank you, Hugh, for joining us this morning. Moving on then to talk about the Tour, the Giro Rosa over there first in cycling, and the final day finished off with a breakaway that and all of the leaders finished close together. With Evita Muzic of France winning the stage from a final sprint from a small group of 3 riders. Let's say no change in the overall classification, where Anna van Bruggen picks up her Giro, or won the Giro. So congratulations to her from the Boels Dolmans team. Michaela Harvey finished in 5th, so yeah, very good result for her on her Keep Paulé car team. So congratulations to Michaela Harvey on that 5th place in the Giro Rosa. Over in the Tour de France, and yes, it was the penultimate day over there which was finished off with a time trial. But it was not a standard time trial where just purely flat. It had a flat piece, and then it went uphill. And that they left a whole bunch of tactical questions for the teams. Do you ride your time trial bike for the whole stage, or at the bottom of the climb, do you change over to a normal road bike for the climb? And that really hurts Roglic. Came into this one as the more experienced time trialer people thought, but we've got to remember that Pogačar actually won the Slovenian, time trial jersey from Pogačar prior to the Tour. Pogačar is the road champion for that country, and Pogačar, yes, managed to beat his compatriots and also win the stage, and so he will take yellow. He is still only 21. He'll turn 22 just after the Tour finishes. So what an amazing birthday present this will be. Say the youngest ever winner of the Tour de France we've had. This is a bit of a trend because last year was also a very young winner as well. So young riders coming to the fore. This means that the general classification now stands with Tadej Pogačar first, Primož Roglic second, and then Richie Porte, the Australian for Trek Segafredo, climbed from fourth up to third after a very good time trial as well. This is probably his final race as a team leader, so a lot of people very happy for Richie Porte after years of some really poor luck in that event. Over in the King of the Mountains classification, which also has been decided, and Tadej Pogačar will take that as well, picking up the result from having the fastest ascent in the getting the points for the fastest ascent in the time trial, which meant he climbed above Richard Carapaz in that one. So today is the procession stage where they will go in and finish on the Champs-Élysées. Don't expect any changes to the overall classification, but there will be a mass sprint, and that's important for the green jersey or the points classification competition, where Sam Bennett currently leads Peter Sagan. I'm not sure if, and there's also intermediate sprints as well where they can where there are points available. It would take a monumental effort for Peter Sagan to catch Sam Bennett in that one, so he'll probably finish in green there. But quite often the race on the Champs-Élysées, the stage is considered the sort of world championship of sprinting. I'm going to hand you over now to Stephen, who will take us through the sports that just keeps on giving. It's our NRL update.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Well, all the giving these days is on the field, and that's what the Roosters gave to the Sharks yesterday, easing past them in a comfortable win. We had the Storm, who put on a 9-try demolition against the West Tigers, and the Titans continue their late season giant killing form. It's not going to get them to the playoffs, but what a back end of the season for the Gold Coast Titans. At one stage were sitting at the foot of the table, and that's where we start this morning. The Titans are far too good for the Sea Eagles at Lotto Land Stadium, beating the Manly side by 42 points to 24 after they led by 22 points to 12 at halftime. Now, the Titans put on 8 tries in total. There was a brace to Alexander Brimson and young Tonu Maipia, who both scored a double there. The rest of the tries coming from Kevin Proctor, Corey Thompson, Sam Stone, and Tremaine Spray scored the eighth tries that the Titans put on. The rest of the points coming from Ashley Taylor. Now, the Sea Eagles their points came from a try to Jack Gawewski, who scored a double. He actually scored in the very first minute, so that was the only time that the Sea Eagles had the lead in the game. The rest, he got a double in the 62nd minute. The rest of the tries coming from Taniela Paseka in the 36th minute and Daly Cherry Evans in the 72nd minute. of the game. So that final score again, Titans 42, Sea Eagles 24. Now at Sunshine Coast Stadium, we had the game between the West Tigers and the Storm, and it was the Storm that came out on top by 50 points to 22 after they led by 32 points to 10 at halftime. So that game as good as over at the break. Now we saw a brace of tries to Suliasi Vunivalu and Josh Addo-Carr, both scoring a brace. Obviously a lot of ball for the wingers. The rest of the tries coming from Tino Fasumamaliai, Justin Olam, Nicholas Hines, and Jerome Hughes. Touchdown, and of course veteran Cameron Smith. He must have had some sort of bet with the coach, because he was signalling Craig Bellamy. I won't show you what sort of signal he used, but just letting him know that he scored a try. But I believe there was a bet involved. The rest of the boots coming via the way of the boot of Cameron Smith. The West Tigers, well, they had a man who got a double as well, Asu Kepiawa. He scored a try in the 16th and 51st minute. The rest of their points coming from Josh Olawai in the 23rd and Adam Doherty in the 55th minute. Doherty also converting 3 of those West Tigers 4 tries. That final score again, 50 points to 22. And in our final game last night, the Roosters eased past the Sharks 34-18 at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Great to see games at the Grand Old venue. Halftime score was 24 points to 12. So once again, they were in a comfortable position. We had a brace of tries coming to Mitchell Orbison, who scored in the 4th and the 35th minute. Luke Keary in the 28th and 51st minute. The rest of the points coming from the very impressive Daniel Tupou on the wing and Joseph Manu, the New Zealand international, also very impressive, scoring in the 71st minute. Kyle Flanagan kicked 5 goals for their 34 points. The points for the Sharks coming from Siosifa Talakai, who scored in the 7th minute, so they levelled the scores early in the game. The rest of their points coming from Ronaldo Mulitalo in the 38th minute and Braden Hamlin Ulele in the 67th minute. The rest of the points coming from Sean Johnson in the via the boot, and Sione Katoa also kicked a conversion as well for the Sharks, 18 points, so 34-18 in that final score. But there was some bad news for the Sharks, with both serious looking injuries to Sean Johnson and Josh Dugan, and going into the finals, they're sitting at the bottom of the table, not looking good for the Cronulla Sharks, even though they have made the playoffs. In games today, we see the Canberra Raiders taking on the New Zealand Warriors, and that's at Geo Stadium in Canberra. So looking forward to keeping your eye on that one. And our final game of the penultimate round at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle, that's the Knights taking on the Dragons, and that game kicks off at 6:05. I'll have a quick look at the table. Of course, the Panthers, the reigning premiers, out there on 35 points. And thank you to Hugh as well for posting that it's the Roosters that hold the record back in 1975 for the longest streak. So thanks for that, Hugh. Storm in second place, Roosters on 28, Eels on 28, the Raiders, they're on 24. So really and truthfully, I think these placings are pretty much set. I think only 5th and 6th placing can really change at this stage. You got the Knights there on 21, and of course, as previously stated, the Sharks on 20. Well, that's league news today. I'll be back tomorrow to wrap up all the results, and we'll hopefully have some more league. So most of it, I've got to say, all happening on the field at the moment. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy what is the last day of your weekend. And Paul, I'll see you at the rugby this afternoon.
I will do, and yes, it's good that the NRL players seem to have figured out what their protocols are around various bubbles and all of that kind of stuff, and have started to behave themselves. Yes, so
yeah.
good for them.
No,
Let's hope it's all on the pitch all the way through to the grand final coming up. Moving on then to the UFC. Yes, it's the UFC today. UFC 253, where Adesanya will take on Costa in that one. That will happen at 1 p.m. today, New Zealand time. So we'll obviously bring you the results of that fight tomorrow morning. Over in the golf, and unfortunately, Ryan Fox missed the cut as we expected. He was 19 over for the first 2 rounds. Danny Lee, though, made the cut, and he is currently at tied 55th. The third round is live. He's just finished the third round at 13 over. He was doing better than that, but it looks like he dropped a couple at the or dropped a shot at the end there. So sad for Danny but look, he's into the weekend of a of one of the biggest tournaments in golf, which is great to see. Over in the supercars, while Fabian Coulthard won the race, that really wasn't the talking point, because Scott McLaughlin and Jamie Whincup had a clash on the opening lap, which led to them both getting time penalties. And McLaughlin had managed to get himself into the lead, but yeah, that clash sent him all the way down to 18th. McLaughlin also had another incident later in the race, which he was penalised for again. He finished 15th overall, but his championship contender Whincup was down in 19th. So as far as the championship goes, good for McLaughlin in that one. Over in the basketball, despite a late surge, the Lakers beat the Nuggets 114 to 126. So yeah, a 12-point win there, pretty comfortable for the Lakers. The Lakers really scored consistently throughout the opening 3 quarters, whereas the Nuggets really slipped away in that second and third, either side of halftime there in that one. So the Lakers take a 1-0 lead in that series. The Celtics and the Heat will be playing their third game of their series, where the Heat lead 2-0, and that's at 12:30 p.m. In New Zealand time. Over in the mixed nationals for the curling, and it's finals day today. In the semi-final, we'll have Bridget and Sean versus Jess and Ben in the first semi-final, and in the second semi-final, it's Mariara and Brett versus Courtney and Dave. Remember, the actual final itself will be screened by Sky. So if you want to watch the nationals, I think that starts from about 12:30 on Sky as well. You have now started the day the best way, up to speed with all of the important sports news. I hope you're having a great weekend, everybody. As I said, Stephen and myself will be at Auckland for the Farah Palmer Cup game against Countess Manukau and the Minor 10 Cup game against Wellington. So do keep a lookout for that. And then I'll be back at 8 p.m. today with the review of all the rugby action from the weekend. Have a great day, folks, and catch you all later.